What if I told you that a new military alliance has quietly risen in Asia? One that is transforming the balance of power faster than any partnership in the entire Indo-Pacific. What if I told you that Japan and the Philippines, two nations once separated by history, are now forming one of the strongest security bonds of the 21st century, right under China's nose? In this video, you will discover the real story the global media is not fully telling you. The secret defense pact now active. The aircraft transfers already underway. The destroyers waiting for approval. And the rising military triangle that could determine the future of Asia, Japan, the Philippines, and the United States. This is not just another regional partnership. This is a strategic shift that could reshape the South China Sea, defend Taiwan, protect Japan's lifelines, and give the Philippines the strongest maritime posture it has held in modern history. If you care about Asia's future, if you want to understand the real power dynamics behind the headlines, then watch this video to the very end. And before we begin, Hindu Global brings you the deepest geopolitical breakdowns on today's fast-changing world. Hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe right now, because what you're about to see will change the way you view the Indo-Pacific forever. A quiet but powerful transformation is taking place across the Indo-Pacific, one that analysts, diplomats, and military planners are now recognizing as a turning point in the balance of power. A transformation not driven by flashy announcements or dramatic speeches, but by steady, deliberate cooperation between two island democracies who now find themselves on the front lines of Asia's maritime struggles. These two nations, Japan and the Philippines, have begun weaving together a strategic partnership that is accelerating faster than any other defense relationship in the region. This alliance is unfolding at the exact moment when the Indo-Pacific is becoming the world's most contested maritime theater. China's assertive actions, from the East China Sea to the West Philippine Sea, have created a new environment of risk, tension, and strategic competition. And caught in this shifting tide are Japan and the Philippines, two nations whose maritime territories form critical segments of the first island chain, a geographic barrier that shapes China's naval reach and influences any possible Taiwan contingency. Against this backdrop, the Philippines is making a move that could reshape its maritime posture for decades. Manila has formally expressed interest in acquiring 5 additional retired TC-90 maritime patrol aircraft from Japan's Maritime Self-Defense Force. The announcement came on November 26, 2025, when Vice Admiral Jose Ma. Ambrosio Espina, chief of the Philippine Navy, confirmed that Manila is actively pursuing the aircraft and also engaging in discussions over another groundbreaking possibility: the potential transfer of retired Abukuma-class destroyer escorts from Japan. The TC-90 request and the Abukuma talks are not random or symbolic. They represent deliberate steps in a broader strategic transformation, one that seeks to address the Philippines' long-standing vulnerabilities at sea while aligning its defense modernization with the doctrines and capabilities of Japan and the United States. Vice Admiral Espina summarized the Philippines' challenge in one simple but revealing statement: "We still have many gaps in our maritime domain awareness. We want to determine if we can incorporate these additional aircraft into our fleet." What sounds like a technical observation is actually an admission of a much larger strategic weakness. The Philippines oversees a 2.26 million square kilometer exclusive economic zone, one of the largest in Asia. Yet, even today, despite decades of modernization efforts, Manila can only effectively watch about 30% of these waters. This means that vast stretches of ocean, areas where Chinese Coast Guard ships, maritime militia vessels, or survey ships frequently operate, remain unmonitored for hours or even days at a time. These blind spots allow foreign vessels to maneuver freely, gather intelligence, pressure Philippine fishermen, or enforce unauthorized presence without detection. And this is where the TC-90 becomes indispensable. Originally designed as a training and reconnaissance aircraft for Japan's Maritime Self-Defense Force, the TC-90 is a twin-turboprop platform that is surprisingly ideal for Philippine conditions. It is slow enough to conduct close-in observation, fast enough to cover long coastlines, and versatile enough to track suspicious ships, monitor militia formations, and patrol contested zones like Scarborough Shoal, the Baton's Islands, and the waters surrounding Palawan. But more importantly, the TC-90 symbolizes Japan's shift toward a more proactive defense role, an evolution that began when Tokyo relaxed its long-standing defense export restrictions in 2014. When Japan transferred the first 5 TC-90s to the Philippines in 2017 and 2018, it marked the first time in history that Japan exported military aircraft to another country. At the time, the transfer was hailed as a diplomatic milestone, a gesture of goodwill and shared strategic interest. 8 years later, that gesture has matured into a structured, expanding partnership anchored in shared threats, shared values, and shared geography. Japan's support now includes advanced air surveillance radars, upcoming coastal monitoring systems under the OSA framework, and discussions on expanding UAV integration, maritime intelligence cooperation, and training programs. This is not symbolic diplomacy. This is strategic integration, and the timing could not be more critical. Just weeks before Manila confirmed its pursuit of additional TC-90s, a diplomatic flare-up erupted between China and Japan in the East China Sea. Whether it is Chinese aircraft near Taiwan, Chinese Coast Guard vessels near the Senkaku Islands, or Chinese militia swarms near Ayungin Shoal, each incident reflects the same pattern of assertiveness, the same willingness to pressure neighbors, and the same disregard for established maritime norms. Japan and the Philippines see the same threat. They face the same challenges, and increasingly, they are building the same defense posture. For the Philippines, the challenge is existential. With its maritime forces frequently confronting water cannon attacks, dangerous ramming attempts, and close-range intimidation from larger Chinese ships, the need for reliable surveillance, rapid deployment, and law enforcement presence has never been more urgent. Silent diesel-electric submarines now patrol strategic sea lanes and underwater corridors that connect the South China Sea with the Western Pacific, routes crucial not only to the Philippines, but to Japan's energy security and trade. Japan, for its part, depends heavily on maritime stability. Nearly all of its energy imports and commercial goods flow through waters adjacent to the Philippines. There is a disruption to Japan's national security. This is why Tokyo is elevating its partnership with Manila. Japan recognizes that the Philippines is the southern anchor of the first island chain, a geographic and strategic barrier essential to maintaining balance in East Asia. If that anchor weakens, instability spreads outward. If it strengthens, the entire regional architecture becomes more resilient. The increasing cooperation also aligns with the Philippines' shift from internal security missions to full external defense. After decades of focusing on insurgency and domestic threats, Manila is now restructuring its armed forces to counter external maritime challenges. The Abukuma-class escorts would fill the anti-submarine and naval capability gaps, and the broader Japan-Philippines security partnership fills the strategic gap. This strategic shift is taking place alongside the implementation of the Reciprocal Access Agreement, RA, a pact that transforms how the two nations' militaries operate together. With the RAA in effect, Japanese forces can now train on Philippine soil without massive bureaucratic delays, conduct port calls with streamlined procedures, and carry out joint operations with Philippine units under a unified logistical framework. This is the same type of access agreement Japan shares with Australia. Vice Admiral Espina himself stated, "Now that the RAA is in place, we expect more regular exercises and more port calls from the MSDF." This shift is not only military, it is geopolitical. The RAA effectively embeds the Philippines within a Japan-US-Philippines security triangle, an emerging framework seen as the linchpin of deterrence in the Indo-Pacific. And as China increases its pressure across the region, this trilateral triangle is becoming a cornerstone of regional stability. In the West Philippine Sea, the situation continues to deteriorate. Over the past year, Chinese Coast Guard vessels have deployed more aggressive tactics, firing high-pressure water cannons powerful enough to cause injuries, executing close-range intercepts of Philippine patrols, and using maritime militia swarms to block resupply missions. Every voyage undertaken by the Philippine Navy or Coast Guard in contested waters must now be recorded for evidence, proof of the escalating dangers Manila faces. As the surface risks increase, so do the subsurface dangers. Chinese submarines are moving more frequently near Philippine waters, navigating underwater approaches that are also vital for Japan's security and for any possible regional contingency. Japan cannot ignore these trends, and neither can the Philippines. With shared vulnerabilities, shared maritime spaces, and shared adversaries, the strategic logic behind their partnership becomes undeniable. This is why every radar Japan installs, every TC-90 Japan transfers, and every training cycle completed under the RAA becomes part of a shared defensive shield, one designed to maintain peace and stability across the first island chain. And this is only the beginning. The accelerating defense relationship between Japan and the Philippines cannot be separated from the rapidly changing security environment in the West Philippine Sea. In recent years, Philippine patrols have increasingly found themselves confronting aggressive tactics designed to intimidate, delay, or obstruct lawful operations within the Philippines' own maritime zone. Every mission is now a high-pressure test of courage and professionalism. Water cannons capable of breaking equipment and injuring sailors. Large Chinese Coast Guard ships performing blocking maneuvers. Maritime militia swarms surrounding resupply vessels. Unmarked fishing ships acting as surveillance platforms. And all of this happens in waters that international law clearly recognizes as belonging to the Philippines. For Manila, the situation is not theoretical, and it grows more intense each month. But on the surface is only half the picture. Beneath the waves, a parallel contest is unfolding, one that could determine control of the underwater highways of the future. These corridors are not only strategic for China, they are vital routes for Japan's energy imports and commercial shipping. In other words, anything that affects the Philippines' maritime domain inevitably affects Japan. This overlap is not coincidence, it's geography. The Philippines sits at the crossroads of the Indo-Pacific, positioned between the South China Sea and the Pacific Ocean. It is the southern gate of the first island chain, a critical defensive arc stretching from Japan to Taiwan to the Philippines. Japan knows that if the Philippines' defensive shield weakens, the entire arc becomes vulnerable. Manila knows that a strong Japan helps prevent encirclement and coercion in its northern waters. This shared reality is driving the partnership forward. While it may sound like a bureaucratic document, its impact on real-world operations cannot be overstated. Before the RAA, joint exercises between Japan and the Philippines required weeks or even months of planning. Permissions had to be secured for every troop movement, every aircraft transit, every naval port call. Training opportunities were limited by logistics and paperwork. Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force, MSDF, ships can dock in Philippine ports with streamlined protocols. Philippine forces can conduct exercises in Japan without lengthy clearances. This is interoperability in action, not talk, not theory, but practice. The RAA is modeled after similar agreements Japan holds with Australia, but in the Philippines' case, its strategic effects may be even more profound. The Philippines is not only a partner, it is geographically central. It commands choke points essential to regional stability. Vice Admiral Espina understood this clearly when he said, "With the RAA in place, we expect more regular exercises and more port calls from the MSDF." This is not just about more ships or more visits. Over time, these strengthen deterrence. And that is exactly what the region now demands. Japan steps forward, a new defense identity. If one looks back even 15 years, the idea of Japan transferring military aircraft or surface combatants to another country, especially one engaged in active maritime disputes, would have been unthinkable. Even small transfers of non-lethal equipment faced domestic debate and political resistance. But today, Japan is adopting a new defense identity, still defensive in philosophy, but active, outward-looking, and engaged. It recognizes that security threats are no longer confined to its own waters. Japan's oil routes pass through the Philippine Sea. Japan's shipping lanes pass near the Luzon Strait. Supporting the Philippines is not charity.it is strategic necessity. And Tokyo's willingness to consider transferring Abukuma-class destroyer escorts, multi-role ships with anti-submarine capabilities, marks a historic moment. Such a transfer would represent one of Japan's largest military exports since World War II. Some political factions argue that Japan's pacifist identity must be preserved, while others insist that the security environment demands a more flexible policy. The Abukuma transfer sits at the heart of this debate. If approved, it would signify Tokyo's decision to fully embrace its emerging role as a regional security provider. For the Philippines, receiving these ships would instantly expand its naval capabilities, particularly in anti-submarine warfare, an area where Manila has historically been weak. With Chinese submarines increasing their presence near Philippine waters, this is no longer optional, it is necessary. The Philippines' strategic shift. For decades, the Philippine military's primary focus was internal security, counterinsurgency operations, local law enforcement support, and domestic threat response. But that era is ending. Today, the Philippines is shifting toward external defense, preparing to confront larger, more sophisticated maritime challenges. The ability to detect, track, and understand activities happening across Philippine waters. TC-90s fill the air surveillance gap. Coastal radar systems establish a wide area network. Satellite feeds provide real-time maritime intelligence. 2. Anti-submarine warfare, ASW. The ability to detect and monitor submarines moving near critical waterways. Abukuma-class ships provide sonar and escort capabilities. Japan provides training. Integration with US and Japanese networks improves detection. 3. Deterrence and external defense. The ability to project a credible defensive posture in the West Philippine Sea. New missile systems like BrahMos. Rotational forces from allies. Joint patrols with the US and Japan. This transformation represents a dramatic rethinking of Philippine defense doctrine, one designed to meet the challenges of the 21st century. A shared surveillance network. Japan's support goes beyond hardware. Behind the scenes, the two nations are building a shared surveillance architecture that stretches across the first island chain. Imagine a grid of sensors, coastal radars, aircraft, drones, satellites, naval ships, all feeding into a shared intelligence picture. Japan's radars detect a vessel near Taiwan. A Philippine TC-90 picks it up as it enters the Luzon Strait. A US aircraft tracks it in the West Philippine Sea. All the data flows into a combined intelligence network. This is the direction the partnership is heading. Japan is already helping the Philippines. Train pilots. Install radar systems. Share maritime intelligence. Integrate surveillance platforms. Develop early warning capabilities. As the Philippines builds new forward bases in Baton's and northern Luzon, Japan's support becomes even more critical. These bases will monitor the Luzon Strait, a choke point vital for Taiwan, Japan, and the entire region. The Philippines does not have the luxury of ignoring threats from the north. Japan does not have the luxury of ignoring threats from the south. Their security is intertwined. Why the TC-90 is a game changer. At first glance, the TC-90 may appear modest compared to modern maritime patrol aircraft. But for the Philippines, it fills a key gap in the surveillance chain. The TC-90 can patrol for long hours, track suspicious vessels, fly low for close observation, provide reconnaissance over contested shoals, assist in maritime law enforcement, support humanitarian operations, gather intelligence for missile units. Most importantly, it fills the middle tier of surveillance, between drones operating close to shore and satellites scanning from space. Without that middle tier, gaps appear. With it, a continuous watch becomes possible. If Manila acquires 5 more TC-90s, it would effectively double its maritime patrol capacity, allowing near-constant coverage in regions previously dominated by foreign presence. Designed for anti-submarine warfare, these ships offer capabilities the Philippines currently lacks. Features include hull-mounted sonar, anti-submarine rockets, torpedo launchers, high-endurance patrol abilities, escort capabilities for supply ships and patrol vessels. For the Philippines, which faces increasing submarine activity near its waters, these ships fill a crucial hole. This is why the Abukuma issue is closely watched. It represents Japan's evolving defense posture, Manila's leap toward modern capability, a potential milestone in Indo-Pacific security. If the transfer moves forward, it could reshape naval cooperation across the region. A security triangle takes shape. The deepening Japan-Philippines partnership is occurring within a larger alignment. The emerging Japan, U.S. Philippines security triangle. This triangular framework is becoming The backbone of deterrence. The shield against maritime coercion. The support structure for regional stability. U.S. surveillance aircraft already operate near Philippine bases. Japanese radars cover northern approaches. Philippine TC-90s patrol contested areas. As tensions intensify in the West Philippine Sea, this triangle becomes not just important, it becomes essential. The evolving partnership between Japan and the Philippines is more than a bilateral relationship. It is becoming a framework, a foundation, on which a new balance of power in the Indo-Pacific is being constructed. And the implications of this partnership reach far beyond Manila and Tokyo. They extend to the South China Sea, the Taiwan Strait, the Sea of Japan, and even to the broader networks that connect global trade, energy supply, and strategic competition. To understand where this partnership is heading, we must look at the forces reshaping the region. The Indo-Pacific is entering a new era. For decades, analysts used the term Asia-Pacific to describe the region. Today, that term feels outdated. The geopolitical lines have shifted. The naval battlegrounds have expanded. This is why the world now uses the term Indo-Pacific, a single vast theater of competition stretching from East Africa to the west coast of the United States. And each brings both countries closer together. Why the Philippines matters more than ever. The Philippines is not a small or secondary player. It sits at the very center of the Indo-Pacific, the gateway between seas. The Philippines lies between the South China Sea and the Philippine Sea. Any navy attempting to move between these two must pass near Philippine waters. This includes submarines, destroyers, and aircraft carrier groups. Point 2. The Luzon Strait, a narrow corridor between Luzon and Taiwan. This is one of the most important maritime choke points in the world. Japanese oil shipments pass through here. U.S. naval forces monitor this corridor constantly. The first island chain, the defensive arc stretching from Japan, Taiwan, Philippines. If any link breaks, the entire chain weakens. Japan sees this. The Philippines sees this. Their futures are tied. Japan's strategic calculus. Japan's security strategy is undergoing a historic transformation. It recognizes that threats are no longer distant. Alliances must be proactive, and deterrence requires partnerships, not isolation. It cannot secure the Luzon Strait alone. It cannot stabilize the South China Sea alone. This is why Tokyo sees Manila as a strategic partner, not just a friend, but a necessary pillar in regional stability. For decades, Manila prioritized internal threats, but the world changed. The Philippine government is upgrading its naval forces, acquiring missile systems, expanding alliances, strengthening radar coverage, and reinforcing outposts in contested areas. This is not the Philippines of 10 or 20 years ago. This is a Philippines preparing for the realities of modern maritime conflict, the coming era of joint patrols. One of the most important developments, although sometimes overshadowed, is the institutionalization of regular joint patrols between the Philippines, Japan, and the United States. These patrols are not symbolic. They send a clear message. The region will not be dominated by force. In the future, patrols will likely expand to include Japan, Philippines, Australia, Japan, Philippines, India, Japan, Philippines, EU navies. This is the architecture of collective security. This is deterrence through presence, maritime training, and upgrades. Japan is not simply donating equipment. It is teaching the Philippines how to fully operate in a modern naval environment. Every training cycle builds a generation of Filipino sailors who are more skilled, more confident, and more capable of deterring aggression. This training is the foundation for something much larger. The strategic north, Baton's, and beyond. Few regions are as strategically significant as Baton's, the province closest to Taiwan. It is the Philippines' northern shield. Japan understands its importance. The United States understands its importance. And now the Philippines is developing it into a new hub of defense capability. Key developments include new radar systems, maritime monitoring stations, upgraded airstrips, pre-positioned supplies, potential helicopter detachments. This is the front line of the future. Japan's role in supporting these developments demonstrates the depth of trust between Tokyo and Manila. The future of defense transfers. If the Abukuma-class ships are approved, it will change the equation dramatically. But Japan is also considering supplying maritime radars, patrol vessels, coastal defense equipment, and advanced surveillance technologies. This partnership is evolving toward full-spectrum maritime cooperation, energy security, and economic factors. Many people overlook one of the most important motivations behind Japan's involvement: energy security. Its tankers must pass near Philippine waters. Any instability in these waters threatens Japan's economy. By helping secure the Philippines, Japan secures itself. On the Filipino side, cooperation brings infrastructure investments, economic partnerships, job creation, technological transfers. This is a strategic partnership with economic benefits, not just military ones. The Taiwan factor. No discussion of regional security is complete without considering Taiwan. If a crisis occurs across the Taiwan Strait, the Philippines becomes a humanitarian corridor, a logistics hub, a surveillance platform, and a defensive shield protecting Japan's southern flank. Japan knows this, the Philippines knows this, and the United States knows this. One nation cannot handle such a crisis alone. This is how alliances are built. Today, they train together. They share intelligence. They operate aircraft alongside each other. Their coast guards coordinate patrols. Their navies practice joint maneuvers. In the future, integration may expand to shared logistical hubs, common surveillance networks, combined operational frameworks, integrated response plans. This is the trajectory of a partnership built for the long term. The spirit behind the alliance. Beyond strategy, beyond hardware, and beyond geopolitics lies something deeper: a shared philosophy. Japan and the Philippines are maritime democracies. They value the rule of law. They understand the importance of stable seas. The alliance is not built on coercion. It is built on mutual respect. It is an alliance of equals, one nation bringing technology and experience, the other bringing geography and courage. What the future looks like. The coming decade may see the following. 1. Joint surveillance network. Philippine radars, Japanese satellites, and U.S. aircraft forming a single picture. 2. Regular Japan-Philippines exercises, including anti-submarine drills, convoy defense, and maritime interdiction. 3. Upgraded Philippine ports, capable of hosting Japanese and U.S. vessels for rapid response. 4. Integrated Coast Guard framework, where both nations coordinate rescues, operations, and patrols. 5. Expanded Philippine airfields, allowing Japanese maritime patrol aircraft to operate closer to strategic areas. 6. A stronger first island chain, where the Philippines becomes a central pillar in a reinforced defensive architecture. These are not distant possibilities, they are emerging realities. A new Indo-Pacific architecture. The deeper story is this: the Indo-Pacific is being rebuilt. The balance of power is being reshaped. And the Japan-Philippines alliance is becoming one of its foundations. Not through dominance, not through fear, but through cooperation. A partnership that serves peace, stability, prosperity, and the rule of law. Conclusion: a partnership for the future. As the world watches, the Philippines and Japan are writing a new chapter in Indo-Pacific security, one built on trust, mutual interest, and shared values. This is not an alliance of the past. This is an alliance for the future, one that will shape maritime boundaries, protect vital sea routes, strengthen regional defense, and ensure that the Indo-Pacific remains open, stable, and free. This is the story, this is the reality, and this is the future, rising from the waters between two nations united by purpose. The story of Japan and the Philippines is still unfolding, and what happens next will shape the entire Indo-Pacific. From new alliances to rising tensions, from shifting power balances to historic military transformations, this region is entering an era unlike anything we've seen before. And here on Global Route, we will follow every chapter, every decision, every turning point, because understanding the world isn't optional anymore. It's essential. And most importantly, make sure you subscribe. This is Global Route, where the world meets clarity. See you in the next video.